Okay, so TikTok's ban yesterday was supposed to happen, right? April 4th. Instead, a lot of experts are saying Trump broke the law to prevent that from happening, or to rather stall it and kick the can further and further down the road. Apple, Google, Oracle, they're all still hosting TikTok, and technically they are doing it illegally. So why is no one stopping them? Why should we stop them? Well, let's talk about it. This week, the first week of April, was supposed to be TikTok's final curtain call of sorts in the US after 5 years of legal purgatory, because every 6 months or so it feels like it's always becoming banned. Congress had passed a law to ban the app. The Supreme Court did back this, and TikTok's deadline was pretty clear. It was April 5th. I mean, it wasn't that clear because before it was January, but just like back in January, right before the clock ran out, Cittadini did the thing he does best, which is ignore the law. Just ignore it. He rewrote the rules and again kicked the proverbial can down the road for another 75 days. So why was it illegal? It was all precedented on somebody stepping in and offering a bid. And it turns out there were actually a lot of people vying to buy TikTok as an app, particularly as it relates to the algorithm of TikTok. I mean, Amazon, right, came out wanting to buy it. The founder of OnlyFans wanted to buy it, but due to a new article that came out, it seems like all of those bids were honestly dead upon arrival. According to Verge, the only White House consideration that was given at all to any of the bids was Oracle. Yes, Oracle, Larry Ellison's company, Oracle, one of Cittadini's biggest donors. Their pitch was pretty specific. Their pitch, according to Verge, was just like Project Texas, but a recycled version of that. Their pitch allowed ByteDance to keep control of the algorithm, but makes it sort of appear that America does have the wheel. And Oracle comes with a lot of clout, but spoiler alert, they wouldn't have much control. According to Verge, the plan was to appease both sides of the aisle, both governments, so to speak, to license the algorithm from Beijing, shuffle the US investors' money into a new shell company, and call it a sale. And it was nearly done until Trump nuked the entire deal with a fresh wave of these tariffs on Chinese companies. And who'd have thought that China would have responded with an absolutely not? And when they said that, essentially it killed any hope of the deal would be approved on China's end. But we should make it very clear here that TikTok's deadline was not symbolic. The quote, Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary Controlled Applications Act passed with bipartisan support. It wasn't just one aisle doing something and the other aisle doing another as business as usual. This was really unusual. Targeting a private company, a big revenue generator, a social media platform here in the United States. Alas, the Supreme Court upheld it, right? They said, sure, yep, that fits. And on Cittadini's first day back in office, he actually signed an executive order delaying the enforcement of said acts, of said bill, of said Supreme Court decision. And he did so without Congress, just unilaterally. Legal experts chimed in back then saying this was at best sketchy. And his second delay? Experts now are calling it flat out illegal. Verbatim from Verge article. Google, Apple, Oracle are now hosting TikTok still, but they're doing so and operating in violation of federal law. And they're doing so because they're just betting that the Cittadini Department of Justice won't prosecute them. Because he gave them his word. Listen, man. Listen, so far, they are right. As long as the DOJ refuses to enforce the ban, TikTok can keep running. No algorithm transfer, no protections that they wanted initially that it wasn't really about anyway. No divestment, and it's just a simple loophole. Okay, maybe it's not too simple, it's actually massive. And there's just absolute silence happening from Congress. Senator Mark Warner, a Democrat from Virginia, calls the entire deal a sham if the algorithm doesn't leave Beijing. Senator Ed Markey, a Democrat from Massachusetts, said that the Trump extension is, quote, illegal and forces U.S. companies to choose between risking prosecution or shutting down TikTok. Representative Ro Khanna, Democrat from California, who's also really big into lobbying for tech companies, wants the whole law repealed, calling it a threat to free expression. Yet a lot of folks from the other side of the aisle are playing both sides, so to speak, demanding full decoupling from China. Senator Josh Hawley even admitted this: if Oracle deal isn't compliant, Trump should enforce the ban. But so far, it's been absolute radio silence. But I really wanted to chime in here about not just the app, but the precedent this sets for us, the consumer here in society that uses social media apps for expression. When a sitting president can unilaterally delay enforcement of any Supreme Court-backed law twice, and he lets major corporations also break it without consequence, what sorts of messages does this send? It's a major precedent that chimes in and says, hey, tech companies, now that you can operate above the law if you align the right donor class. Doesn't seem like it has much to do with national security as much as it does developing an oligarchy of sorts. And please do let me know your thoughts in the comments, but before you say something along the lines of, well, they've always done this, V. Yeah, they have, but never so bluntly, never so F you to the court style before. Never so much in your face, ha-ha, neener, we do what we want kind of style. We mentioned Mark Warner. He flagged the real concern too, and it was laid out in this article, I thought, pretty well. TikTok has the power to shape public forum, public discussion, public opinion. The algorithm is still controlled in Beijing and has shown bias on a lot of really controversial topics. So many think, lawmakers are concerned with national security. Sure, if you want to make that debate, there is a debate to be made, but they're also worried about propaganda, and not their own, but potentially the person behind TikTok. Just any of us users behind TikTok. They're concerned with us. And Congress can really be concerned about whatever they want because Congress clearly has no enforcement arm here. Cittadini will ignore the law. They can't stop them. Executive orders left and right. TikTok will live in another 75 days of limbo, baby. Oracle gets to keep cashing checks, and American lawmakers are made to look absolutely useless as usual. And they can kiss the ring, baby. I'll end on this note though. If TikTok even does sell to any of the potential buyers, and the algorithm stays in Beijing, this was all performative. It was all just a flex because it just means the law wasn't enforced. It was meaningless. Anyway, I was reading this article today and I was like, damn, this is a lot to unpack. I've been asked a lot my opinion on the state of TikTok and where I think it's going. And honestly, that's what I think. I think a debate could be made for protecting US data against foreign interest, but that's not what's happening here at all. And if it was, they would be going after Meta and countless other social media platforms that do this quite brazenly on a weekly basis. So, until next time. I'm V. I will see you on TikTok, YouTube, and Twitch every day.